Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Flight Deck 2 Sim live stream. An impromptu one, completely out of the blue. My partner's at work. It's a very quiet evening here in the household, so I thought I'd do a quick hour and a half flight. Well, 45-minute flight. It'll be about an hour and a half stream to get ourselves from Dublin, where you can hear it's pouring it down, over to Newcastle, which has been requested quite a few times. We're in live weather, live time. I'm sure most of you in Europe are probably about to go to bed, but hell no, you've got to stay up for a little bit longer so you have a little bit of fun in the ZIBO mod. I've got some new people here in the chat. We've got Tanner Hoyt from the US, UTAM, it should be 30 minutes, about 45 minutes. Stuart Walsh, yes, a late one, absolutely. I've just come off the end of doing night shifts at work anyway. Well, I say night shifts, doing flights that land about midnight, so my body clock's well adapted to this sort of time of day, and doing this sort of thing, flying the aircraft as well. So yeah, it's going to be a quick one. I was hoping to do it about an hour or so ago, but I had quite a few things to get done, which I've managed to catch up on. I thought I'd just fire up Explain to test the mod anyway and see what ZIBO's been up to. There's been a lot of changes in the team recently. I think AudioBird XP is a little bit busy, so he's dropping out for a short time, as a few other people. But anyway, we'll have a look in the most latest version and see what he's been up to. So here we are in Dublin. As you can hear, it's absolutely pouring it down outside, obviously using live weather. At the moment we've got rain showers, clouds as low as 300 feet, but at least the wind's not too bad. It's easterly at about 15 knots or so. So we'll jump into the mod here. Completely cold and dark. You see it's a few rain showers and the nice rain effects on the windscreen. So we'll pop ourselves up onto the overhead panel. Because we've got the jet bridge attached, we have electrical power and the form from the air bridge, which ZIBO has updated recently. Right, we'll pop on the dome light as well to fill ourselves up with some light so we can see what we're doing. Robol, hi, I recommend your Dublin Scenery Airport by TDG. Well, actually, this one is payware from Aerosoft. TDG does do some excellent freeware scenery. I have used quite a bit of it. In fact, Newcastle, where we're flying into, is actually by TDG, so you can have a look at that in a bit. So, battery on, electric hydraulic pumps we can now pop on, landing gear levers down, and we checked all the documentation. We'll put the steady lights on to show that we have GPU or electrical AC power connected to the aircraft. A bit non-standard, but I'll put the IRS there. Now, it's a bit of an impromptu, chilled-out stream today, so I'm not going to probably do everything in the same order as we would do in reality, as I do with some of my streams there. So you now do all the fire tests and cargo tests. So we'll put the seatbelt sign on now. We're going to put some fuel in the aircraft very shortly. Test the attend button. Check the flap leaves are up as well. I've literally not touched anything in the mod since our last stream. It's basically all I've done is to jump in there. Callum Dickel, is it possible for us to get the Flight Deck to Sim livery? I've actually updated Nightbot. He will periodically give you the link, but if you type that, it should give you the link to the Google Drive as long as Nightbot's awake. I hope anyway. I've updated it. There it is. Michael Fogelman, that's the guy that had it. So yes, if you want to download that livery, adorn it, and show it off, that's fine. And actually, if you want to tag me on Instagram as well, or Twitter, then I can have a look, and I might actually showcase some of those shots in some of the streams anyway, which will be pretty cool. Excellent. Justin Reed, hello, this is a surprise. I'll have some company on that sim, currently flying Madrid to Stansted in my livery. Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Right, so I've lost track of everything. We then work our way down here, do all the individual tests. We are actually on VATSIM and Project Fly, so you guys can see the much sought after landing rate calculator, which was requested God knows how many times there. Stall warning tests we do next as well. Pop VHF1 on the mic selector here. The alignment's going to take 7 minutes or so. Right, there we go. So we'll jump into the captain's seat, and we'll have a look at the flight plan. So here it is. I just generated this on SimBrief earlier. Cruising at flight level 230. You can see the flight time, just 48 minutes or so. It's a very quick flight today. And we need about 5.2 tons of fuel. Now, the weather in Newcastle isn't too bad, but the cloud base is quite low and it's dropping. So we will take a little bit of extra fuel to at least fly approach. I have absolutely no idea what Newcastle has. I've never flown into that airport. I know it has an ILS both ends, but when it can do an auto land, I have no idea. So we'll take an extra, let's take an extra ton on top of that. So usually as a 5.2, let's take 6.2 tons of fuel, which is a enough to do at least 2 approaches with a go around, and then that's enough to divert to our alternate, which is Edinburgh up in Scotland. Well, we're quite fully loaded today. The Simbury flight plan I've said is based on 180 passengers, so it's completely fully loaded. So our zero fuel weight is 60.5 tonnes. So we go here to payload, we're going to need about 19.2. There we go, 60.6. That's based off pretty much a fully laden aircraft with all the passengers, quite a lot of bags there, so very, very much full there. Cambridge Tube HG5 Flight Data Sim. Voitech CVR Flight Data Sim is a 5-star airline, absolutely. The best reviews in the industry. Snapshot here, 355. He's a very good friend. Well, I say good friend, I've never met the chap, but he's actually in the Air Force flying the Sentinel, so very, very knowledgeable chap indeed. So you can direct some questions to him if you feel so free. Jamie goes, is your base stats? It's not. I am based in the UK, but I don't go as far as divulging where I'm based off. Anthony Teal, snapshot for I've got the day off. Yes, probably has. Fantastic. Right, so that's the fuel loaded. The payload is loaded as well. We can now look up here. So we'll select terrain, airports. The QNH right now in Dublin is looking on the weather. 1015. There we go. 1015, we'll set that up on the standby altimeter. Now, I do a lot of tests around the UK, so UK airspace is quite familiar. So we've done I think we've done at least 2 flights from Dublin, but the airport's very close to mainland UK, so it's a really perfect place to fly into if you ever want to fly into a UK destination. So I had a few guys on the Discord, the private Discord, to request Newcastle, and a lot of messages in the past about it. So I thought it'd be quite fun to fly, and at night time in rubbish weather as well. Cool, so QNH is set, VOR, the rest is done, so we'll go into the FMC now. There we go, so we'll bring up the flight plan as well. So I've just updated the AirAC, Navigraph updated it recently. We're now on cycle 1907, we're in Dublin, Echo India Delta Whiskey, we'll align the IRS, we need the GPS coordinates, and we're going to Newcastle, which is Echo Golf November Tango, the home of all the Geordies, and our call sign, of course, Broadsword 01. Now, I did see there was some ATC on at Dublin, but as soon as I logged on, they just logged out, so that's a bit of a shame. But we are going to stay on the network and see if anyone turns up and wants to follow the flight. That would be pretty cool. They're on the Eastleigh runway here in Dublin this evening, and the departure we're going to fly is it was Liffey to Echo. There we go. Route then, departures, we've selected runway 10, and from Liffey, Quebec 36 to, I'll probably zoom in because you probably can't see the screen very well, Alava, and then from Alava, Zulu 195 to Malud. These names are always good. Lima 975 to Wallasey. So that routing's actually taking us quite far south. Newcastle's going to be higher up than that. And from Wallasey, it's direct to Pole, which is the Pole Hill VOR. And then it'll be the arrival Pole 1 November for runway 07 in Newcastle. So ILS 07, Pole 1 November. There's the transit. So these transitions are based off the procedural approach. The beacon's over the airfield there. So we can activate that, execute it. We'll have a quick flick through. There might be a discontinuity. Oh, it's looking okay. We'll have a look at that later on. Great. So the routing's in the FMC. We can now update the performance. So performance, we've got 0 fuel weight 60.6 tonnes. I have no idea what the reserves are. I didn't look at that. So it's the sum of these two. This figure here, 1092, that's your final reserves. That's the absolute legal kind of minimum. You don't want to ever have to use this fuel. It's got a minimum of 30 minutes basically. And if you ever see that you're going to use this, you have to declare a mayday. But your alternate fuel, what we put in the FMC here, is the fuel to get to your alternate and arrive with your final reserve figure. So we need the sum of these two, which is going to be 2526. Let's call it 2.7. Round it up. So when we get to 2.7 tonnes, if we're still around Newcastle, we have to get on our way to Edinburgh before we land without using our final reserves. We'll use a cost index of 30. I think we said we're going to cruise at 23. Pounds of feet on flight level 230 this evening. I can't remember. There we go. Flight level 230. It was automatically generated from SimBrief. Live weather as well. I've got a £1 donation coming in. Thank you very much from our friend from China who's often donating little bits here and there. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. And gosh, yeah, it must be very early in the, well, no, early in the morning in China, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Right, top of climb wind then. It is 174 at 41 knots. There we go. Another donation coming in as well. James donated £5. Thank you very much. Thanks for the stream, so helpful. Can you join a star partway along, or do you always need to fly it into a transition waypoint? Well, firstly, you didn't have to donate to ask the question, but I might have missed it. Absolutely fine to route direct to a star. ATC often can clear you direct to a waypoint on a star. You don't have to start at the beginning of the star. So, for example, if we look at this flight into Newcastle, James, you can see we arrive here at the arrival at Pole Hill, which is the beginning of the arrival. Then we've got these points here, Gokov, Ipcore. ATC, if they're quiet, would have no problem routing you direct to one of those waypoints, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that will answer your question. Thank you very much for the donation. Right, so what I was saying, top of climb wind, 174 at 41 knots. ISA deviation, top of climb, it is plus 6 degrees. There we go. What is the temperature right now in Dublin? It is 14 degrees. So just get a bit of view of the FMC. There we go. I've not actually looked at any takeoff performance for our departure today, so I think full 22k is going to be sufficient, definitely at that takeoff weight. We use flat 5, which is actually, I've flown for 8 years nearly, the 737. I've never used any other flap setting for departure. I have a tutorial explaining all the different sorts of flap settings and stuff, but yeah, we always use flat 5 at the airline I work for. It's a very nice balance between good performance, good or better tail strike prevention there, not too much drag there. So make sure we'll set V2 as well, 148. Did I activate the performance, which I know you have to do in the mod? I think I did. It's definitely something in there. Anyway, takeoff page, and V2 is set 148 knots. There we go. Another donation coming in. Alan Davis, thank you very much. £4.99 evening. Thanks for doing another stream as always. Butter. Is there a reason the spoilers are not tested as part of the pre-flight checks? Well, I can't really answer that question because, no, we don't test it. So Boeing, I guess, in their wisdom say that there's no need to test it, so there's no need to check it. Now, probably the engineers in their routine ramp checks, well, not their routine ramp checks, I don't think they'll test it, but when they have a what they call B check, C check, they might test it there, but I really have no knowledge on that. But no, we don't test the speed brake or spoilers as part of the pre-flight setup at all. There we go. TPM Life, I've seen flaps 1 before and done it, nearly overran. So yeah, flap 1 is very useful if you have an obstacle on your departure because it gives you better climb performance, but your takeoff roll is significantly increased. It's a lot less lift available with flap 1, but again, a lot less drag. Right, so the FMC is loaded. Let's go on to the upper overhead panel now. Yaw damper on, no fuel in the centre tank. Do all the tests here is looking good. Pop on the window heat. Electric hydraulic pumps on. We'll crank up the panel light as well. Up onto the corner here. Trim air we can pop on as well. Packs in auto. Now this is a good question. Someone actually asked me quite a while back. Why do you put the packs in auto during the flight, but then you have to turn them off for the engine start? Well, the main reason is it's just part of the flow, and if you need air conditioned air, you can pop the APU on and you've got the packs in auto. But I couldn't really give you a practical reason because we do pop them off to start the engines. But yeah, I have really no idea. Cruise level's 230 and the elevation in Newcastle is 266 feet, so we'll pop in 250 in the land out. There we go, lights are all good. Right, let's have a look at some charts then. So, airport, Echo India Delta Whiskey. I haven't even shown you where we are or anything like that. That is a pain. FIFA Beast, how do your rain effects look so good? It's part of the ZIBO mod, these ski effects. Oh, I can't remember the name of the person who designed it, but that's what's causing all those really cool effects there. So airport we want, airport here. So we're parked down there. Let's get a bit more detailed parking stands. There we go. So we are on stand 405 Tango here, facing Pier 4. We're going to push back to face west off Zulu or Bravo 1, and then we're going to taxi cross 16345 Alpha or Bravo, and then we're going to go all the way down here to depart. We'll take Sierra Figures runway 10 full length as well. So that's where we are. We'll have a good look outside at the scenery shortly, and we just need to select the SID. So back departures, and it's the Liffey to Echo RNAV departure. So here we are, it's RNAV departure. We are RNAV equipped aircraft, so we're going to climb straight ahead to this waypoint here called Delta Whiskey 551. It's based off the Collinstown VOR, so we can tune that as raw data. Back up, and then we're going to left turn inbound to Liffey. So it's a nice straightforward sit right down out to the east there as well. VBalls 45, which ZIBO texture do you use? Why? Well, it's just the default ZIBO mod. I've not downloaded any of these extra texture sets or anything like that. So we'll put in Collinstown 111.2. We'll turn up the light here as well. There we go. Oh, crikey. What's done there? It does switch around like that. So 111.2. We'll put that active. There we go. And there we go, we've got DAP on the VOR. We'll put the courses to 099 and the runway heading as well. Perfect, and I think the stop level is flight level 90 on this, so oops, we'll set that on the MCP 2, and we'll put the courses both sides. And if you're new to my streams, why do we do this? It's just to ensure that if the FMC was to play up, we can actually navigate conventionally. Now, even though this is an RNAV SID, technically, we'd probably request vectors first before just flying the VOR radial there. So we'll pop the flight directors on as well. Auto brake to RTO, reset, engine display for the engine start as well. Pop legs on the first officer's side there as well. Wojtek Flyer, thank you very much for the donation. Are you planning on using the Orbex True Earth scenery? Now, I do know what that is, but I haven't really invested in it because I've already got Ortho 4 XP for all of the UK. You know what, I was actually thinking before doing this impromptu stream, I very nearly thought, for a bit of a laugh, let's not fly a Cessna, the default Cessna 172, which I might do one day, just for a bit of a laugh, but I thought, nah, let's jump into the mod and see what ZIBO's been up to. So, that's all set. FMC's pretty much loaded. We'll put terrain up on the ND for the first officer, and this is all set. Right, now let's crank up the APU. There we go. Cool, and you'll be able to see outside. It's a miserable old evening here in Dublin. Yeah, the scenery's pretty cool here, actually. There's someone online on VATSIM taxiing to the active runway, but yes, that's pretty cool. And here we are on stand 405. There we go. The Hunter Afka. From what country are you? I am British. From England. David Smith, what do you think of Audio Bird's decision to stop developing for ZIBO? Now, I don't get involved in that much in depth with the project. Audio Bird XP, I think, is you know, he's putting a lot of work and effort. As the amount he can do now, I don't know how much there is. He's part of the project. You know, the aircraft is looking absolutely visually stunning, and I think he's just taking a bit of a break from everything at the moment. Someone else dropped out, one of the pilot testers, but ZIBO is very much committed, and it's pretty much, you know, because the interior and exterior is so goddamn good now. It's just ZIBO continuously tweaking, making changes, which is what the mod will always have and always will include. But no, I again, I'm not involved too much with that side of the project. I'm just a tester for ZIBO, but I did see that he was bowing out for now. Anyway, we'll hopefully see him around at some point. Cool. So right, the jet bridge has the GPU connected, so we don't need to worry about that. What we'll do now, we'll get the pushback sorted. Better pushback, there we go, pre-plan, and we'll get ourselves pushed onto, which one? Let's go on to the Zulu here, which is a nice simple pushback. Do something like that, and that as well, as I see a donation coming in. Enter, there we go.
Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Jacob McGregor coming with £5, thank you very much. Hello Captain Flight Deck Sim, good news. I went solo yesterday. Well, Jacob McGregor, massive congratulations to you. Everyone in the chat, give him a flipping congratulations. Because I tell you what, there's nothing as important in your flying career as you're going your first solo. I remember to the day my first ever solo flight. It was actually in a glider. It was on my 16th birthday, which was the absolute earliest I could fly. I used to work at a local gliding club. Instead of paying me money, they gave me free flying lessons. And then I flew solo in a Cessna 150 when I was 18, a little bit later, doing my PPL after my A-level. So yeah, massive congrats to you, Faye, and thank you for the tip of donation. I feel like I should send it your way anyway. Massively well done to you. Right, so pushback's all sorted. Now we can request a pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
And we've got a new member coming in as well, Dean Larson. Thank you very much for the membership direct support. You'll be automatically invited to the private Discord where you can catch up with some of the other members, and you'll have a bit more of a personal insight on my day-to-day job. Thank you very much. Awesome, so here comes the pushback. Now one thing that's pretty cool as well, if you have social media as well, Instagram, Facebook as well, one of the things I saw 2 nights ago, I was flying back to the UK on my last day, I saw something called Noctilucent Clouds. Now just before I talk about that, I'll just have a look at this. I have Parsnip trousers.
Hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Parsnip trousers donated £1. Absolutely cracking username. Watching the stream while sorting the laundry. What is the purpose of the markings on the course knobs? Well, I think that just sort of represents kind of like the RMI needle. I've never actually thought of that as much depth of that. So that's an interesting question. I really cannot give you much more of a detailed question than that, answer than that. But yeah, that's what I think that represents. It's like the old RMI conventional needle. Awesome. Right, so yes, as I was saying, if you're into your social media as well, take a look at my latest post. I flew back to the UK 2 days ago, and I was talking to the first officer.
Connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Oh, you can calm down there, Sonny boy. I was talking to the first officer, and I was looking at these clouds outside, and we were coming back to the UK. We were over the south of France, travelling northbound, and I could see these clouds, and it was maybe the sun had set about an hour and a half ago, and I was thinking, those are very, very high cirrus clouds. And the first officer said, oh, no, they're not cirrus clouds, they are Noctilucent Clouds. And I said, what in the world's a Noctilucent Cloud? And what these clouds are, they're clouds that are about 200,000 feet high, right above in the atmosphere, kind of like upper parts of the atmosphere. And it's ice crystals which have been blown up there. So it was awesome. So have a look at my Instagram post. You'll see these clouds, and they look really close, but they're at 200,000 feet. Absolutely awesome sight there. But yeah, I do try and share as much as possible from the cockpit, so you can have a bit more of an insight of what it's like up there. Cool. So I don't think there's anyone online here now. There's no ATC whatsoever, so I'll imagine we've got our pushback clearance. So APU's on, so air conditioning packs off, AP bleed on, anti-collision light is on. Parking brake we can now release with the pushback, and the transponder we moved it out of. We'll squawk 2000. Just like we are flying VFR or something. Right, parking brakes released. There goes the air bridge, and hopefully we'll get the pushback underway ASAP.
Pushback, and you may start engines.
Glowing clouds, yes. Yeah, the clouds are pretty wild, Tanner. They were. I'd never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. Right, so Avitab charts. No, it's not the charts, even though the charts should be under charts. And we're starting the pushback here. So, as I said, we're pushing back from the corner of this stand. We're going to go on to Zulu to face west. And we'll probably taxi Zulu Bravo, cross 1634 to Sierra to the whole point there. Bit of a wild pushback going here. I'm sure that's not what I told it to do. Hopefully we won't go too far adrift. There we go. Right, anyway, let's get the engine started. So, starting engine number 2. There we go. So 180 passengers on the broadsword flight to Newcastle this evening. Probably all drunk as a skunk. Going back on a Sunday. There we go. There's 25% N2. Let's pop in the fuel. I haven't done a night flight in ages. Pretty cool. Boss, I love the ski rain effects. Yeah, they're really awesome. They do look really cool. Azure Burke, the Noctilucent Clouds display was stunning in the Netherlands. Yeah, I couldn't believe I saw lots of people took some really cool photos of that all over Europe. Right, starter cutout, monitor engine number 2. That is all looking stable. We're going to start engine number 1. Pushback has not gone too badly. There's N2. There's oil pressure, and there is N1. There's the pushback finished. There we go.
Set parking brake.
There we go. Parking brake set. Disconnect tow bar bypass pin.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
And advise me when clear. That's what we will be telling the ground crew in reality. Cool. So he's lowering the aircraft. There we go. And that's starter cut out as well. Cool. Not much to see in the night, but it's really cool nonetheless. All these effects here. So let's have a look at the latest weather in Dublin. Disconnect and hand signals. It's showing a few clouds at 300 feet, rain 14 degrees, wind 080 at 12, so it's straight down the runway. That's something that I can deal with. Peter Culler, is there any reason why you always shut down number 2 engine during single engine taxi? Yes, when we taxi on stand, we shut down engine number 2.
And bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. Well, see you next time and have a safe flight.
The reason is engine number 2, it's all the ground equipment's usually on the right hand side of the aircraft, so the GPU, cart if it's there, the air starter unit, some other stuff, and all the baggage handlers as well. So that's generally why we shut down engine number 2 as well. Right, now let's do the before taxi flow. Generators on, APU off, start switch is continuous. It is 14 degrees, so we don't need the engine or wing anti-ice on for departure. Pop on the air conditioning packs. Also, APU bleed off as well. Lights, we don't need the wheel well on now as well. We've got another donation coming in. The 737 flight decker, thank you very much, 79 pence. He's also a member of mine as well, so yeah, you can go check out his channel. He's got some flights on the 737. I did have a look at that the other day, but I do need to have a look at some more of your videos. Right, so flight controls. I actually haven't checked if the rudder works. We had problems last stream with that, but the light is on. It looks like we're all good. So forward, back, left, centre, right, centre, rudders, full left, centre, right, centre, blank the lower DU, and then push recall. Don't forget to select the flaps as well, which is very important. You don't want to have to do that as well. Cool, so that's it. Wait for the flaps to be selected, otherwise the need to do the takeoff config warning check. I was also asked a question about those clouds. Yeah, that should disprove a lot of flat earthers as well about these luminescent clouds. Right, that looks good to me. Let's turn on the turn off and taxi light. Stab trim I didn't set for departure. I mean, we'd usually do this as independently during the takeoff performance, and obviously we set it in reality, but in the mod I barely use it. Let's set about 4.87. Cool, right, so as I said, the taxi routing, it's going to be Zulu. We'll make a slight left turn onto Bravo, cross 1634, and then we'll taxi all the way to Sierra 7 for runway 10. So release parking brake, let's do the config check. No takeoff configuration warning horn. We want to set about 35% to get it moving on. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Alan. Yeah, the logo light would be on, absolutely, during night time. Yeah, so we can illuminate the broadsword 01 flight deck to sim. Awesome livery. Probably needs a little bit more tidying up, but it's excellent. 737 flight deck, a flight time about 45 minutes. Very, very short flight today. Cool. So a bit of light rain. We'll put the wipers on intermittent, just give the occasional wipes. Excellent. So based on some feedback then, because last time I used the, it was requested quite a bit, we've got this overlay at the top here. I've made it a little bit smaller. I think a lot of people were saying, it's a little bit too big, so... but some people don't actually like it, but I think more people like the overlay than people that dislike the overlay. So we'll keep it up there for now, because it's quite cool if you just join to see where we're going and what we're doing. It's not really the most detailed.
1 0,
chart there. I wasn't sure where I was going. That's Echo 1 for runway 28 there. Cool, so there's no one online, but before you ever enter a runway, you must always confirm that you've been cleared. It's something called Runway Incursion in the industry. If you enter an active runway without clearance, it's just a big no-no. So we'd always check that with ATC, confirm we've been cleared to cross, even if it's not in use. And actually, what we do at the airline I work for, we turn the strobes on as we cross a runway, just to increase visibility if someone happens to be barreling down the runway. Oh, we never started the flight leg for the mod.
Approaching.
Could
3,
be an issue.
4.
There we go. So we've got the display on the RAS on the ND saying approaching 3-4. All looking good. Matthew Burns, what reshade are you using? I don't even know what that means. I don't think I have a reshade on. I think I've seen some people talk about reshades, but no, we just have the default ZIBO mod, and you can see my plugins pop up occasionally in the chat as well. Right, so we can do the before takeoff checklist. Configs checked, flaps we have 5 green lights, stab trim set for takeoff. Takeoff briefing, the packs are in auto, the bleeds are on, the V-speeds are set for departure, 41, 42, 48. We're flying the Liffey 2 Echo SID, which we can pop up here on our charts. Going to climb straight ahead to Delta Whiskey 551, left turn inbound Liffey, and the stop level, well, you can see here, warning, do not climb above flight level 90, that's set in the MCP. That's reviewed. 737 flight day. What's with the short flight today? It's because the time is 11 at night. I don't think I'd be really wanting to do a flight much later. This is plenty late enough. I think most people were probably thinking about going to bed. I was actually, before I thought, no, you know what? I'll do a quick stream. Daniel Lohman, what would happen during a runway incursion? Well, hopefully no one's landing or taking off on it, but ATC would obviously probably report it. You might notice it before. You know, you'd have to immediately report it to ATC, but that would be definitely require some report afterwards to explain what happened, why was there a breakdown in communication, how did you enter an active runway. So yeah, it's something you just don't want to do, and we have a lot of SOPs at the airline I work for to kind of reinforce or to reduce the threat of actually entering an active runway. Adrian Burke, does RAS actually display runway messages on D? It does in the real aircraft. It's lots of messages come up on the ND from RAS in reality. Tim Taylor, what is the reason behind those recall checks? So by pushing this, if there's any faults in the system, it'll illuminate a master caution. So I could demonstrate this for you. If I turn the probes off and push recall, there you go, we get a master caution. You'll see on the first officer side it says anti-ice. Oh look, I've left the probes off, so it allows you, if there's any faults that you might have missed or undetected, you can push this and any amber master caution light that's illuminated will pop up, or you'll be able to see. So it's just the 737 NG has a very archaic master caution system. It's very old, but it's very simple when it works, so that's what we do. And we do the recall at very crucial times. So before we start taxiing, we do it passing 10,000 feet, we do it during the landing checks as well, just to make sure there's nothing we've missed associated with the master caution system. Pau Casawana Mestri, sorry if I completely mispronounced that, as I often do with a lot of people in the chat. Which subject did you find most difficult when you got your ATPL? Hated air law, just from the pure quantity of information you had to kind of soak in. It is quite boring. And general principles of flight as well. Some of the physics behind that, because physics and maths isn't my strongest point. But yeah, certainly found them quite challenging there. Oh, got a donation coming in from David Blankard, who's I think a member as well. Stream started just as I put the sausages on the barbie. I threw on some extra for you and the viewers. Well, you'll need... I'll have 4, and then you'll need 513 sausages for all the viewers as well. Thank you very much, David, again, for another tip and donation. Very, very kind.
50, 40, 30.
There we go.
40.
So it's a long old taxi to runway 10 today. Brady Alfond, what does TCAS do? TCAS stands for Traffic Collision Avoidance System, and so long as another aircraft has a transponder with mode Charlie in the 737, it'll allow you to display that traffic on the ND. If it's getting quite close, you initially get something called a caution, which doesn't require any action, you just have to monitor it. But if you get something called a resolution advisory, an RA, a red square appears, you have to take avoiding action, and you'll get something displayed on your PFD to guide you on what to do, which requires you to disconnect the automation. Not something you want to have done. Right, so we'll imagine that we've got our clearance. There's absolutely no one online whatsoever here, so what we'll pop on is the landing lights, the strobes, auto throttle, LNAV, weather radar as well, and the transponder to TARA. So MCP is set, transponder TARA, strobe lights are on, landing lights are on. I'm just going to pop up the panel light here as well. And we'll imagine we've got our takeoff clearance in Dublin. Surface wind right now 080 at 16 knots, so the wind's picked up a little bit, but it is pretty much straight down the runway.
Approaching 10.
That's checked. There we go. And when it's raining like this, you want to really keep an eye on your TAT as you climb, because as it drops below 10, you want to pop on the engine anti-ice. Cool. So crank around. Just want to overshoot the centerline ever so slightly, so that way you end up nicely pointing in
On
the right
runway
direction.
10.
There we go. Right, I'll just pop the brakes on there.
50, 40,
Just have a look at last few comments. I got another donation coming from Generation Blowout. Thank you very much. $4.99. Hello, I caught another stream. Here's a little something for sharing the knowledge. I learned a lot from you, my friend. Well, thank you very much. Learning continuously as ever. Even myself, like those clowns I was talking about, I showed the pictures of. You learn something new. Well, thank you very much for the tip and donation there. Awesome. So here we are, lined up on the runway. We'll pop on the wipers to low, in case they start filling up during the takeoff roll. Weather's radar's on. We can now start the timer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Newcastle. So, parking brake release, stand those thrust levers up to 40%. And that looks like it's all stabilised. Push toga, set takeoff thrust. There we go. Light forward pressure on the control column, and we've got 91.6 takeoff thrust set indications normal. Just using a little bit of right rudder to maintain centre line there. 80 knots checked, neutralising the control column. So there we go.
V1
Rotate 2 to 2.5 degrees per second. Looking outside, there we're airborne, and onto the flight directors. Positive rate of climb, gear up, and trim. So as soon as the pilot monitoring puts the gear up, you can turn the wipers off. There's no need to have them on at all once you're climbing out. 400 feet's checked. We've got LNAV as the roll mode. We'll hand fly this departure this evening.
1000.
So we'll bug up. Just slowly lower the nose to around 10 degrees. The flight directors will pitch for that, and that's a nice, if you haven't got the flight directors on, 10 degrees is a nice kind of attitude to allow the aircraft to accelerate, although we do have a lot of less thrust than usual, probably a bit less today. Right, now you're above this little white bar here, we can select flap 1, that's V2 plus 15. Why has it not? So I've bugged up, but the flight director's still pitching that, so we'd select level change. It shouldn't do that. It should have pitched down for me. There we go. Now the flight directors are correct. Now flaps up. So even in toga, if you bug up, the flight directors will come in and pitch down there. Flight directors will now move up to maintain our up speed initially. We're just flying on the flight directors. Cool. So we can now select VNAV, set standard, because we're climbing to a flight level. Still hand flying, it's just easy on the flight directors. It's on. I say it's as easy as this in reality. There's not much turbulence this evening. When it's quite turbulent, you just have to follow the flight directors a little bit more. I wouldn't say aggressively, but just make the inputs to make sure you're following them accurately. And now we can do the after takeoff checklist. There's Delta Whiskey 551, so we can do a gentle left turn inbound to Liffey. I will pop the autopilot now on so I can do the after takeoff checklist. Command is checked on the FMA. So, start switches to auto, gear to up and off, and auto brake to off. Air conditioning and pressurization. Diff pressures now 2.2, climbing nicely. Temperatures are looking nice in the cabin. A pleasant 25 degrees. That is all set. I'll set standard on the ISFD, and just verify I've got standard set now. 53 flight level 90, and what we'll do, we'll go straight up to our cruise level, which is flight level 230. That is now set, and we don't have anything in the FMC. James Clark coming in with a £1 donation. Thank you very much for the tip there, and welcome to the channel, because I haven't seen you pop up before. Cool. So it looks like we're on top of the clouds. There we are, on the SID, inbound to Liffey, looking good. JP, what qualifications do you require to be a commercial pilot? Well, in the UK here, kind of 6 GCSEs minimum, including maths and physics. And I mean a minimum. You know, A levels, go to university, always help. If you want to be really good, I recommend studying A level maths and physics, something I didn't do. Not needed, but it's always been a kind of a weaker point for mine. But certainly, I'd recommend that. I don't know the equivalents in other countries, but the equivalent of a GCSE in the UK, which is the exams you take when you are 16 in England and the UK. So we've got a big blob of weather there. It just looks so different to reality on the weather radar. I mean, the real weather radar is scans. You get this kind of scan coming in here, and as you move, the new picture comes in. I mean, you would go anywhere near that. That looks really nasty. You'll see out the right window, but thankfully our routing is keeping us well clear. Jason Grace, which gliders have you flown on? I did mine on a Phuket, which was a Polish-built glider with a forward swept wing, which is pretty cool, and also the Grob. But this I haven't flown in a glider now for well over 10 years now. It's just a shame, because it's proper flying, that is. You know, flying every day in this thing is enough for me these days. Right, 101 flight level 230. Let's do the pre-cruise check. So fuel is all good. 4 pumps on. Lights, we'll pop the logo off. It's not needed up here. APU's off. We check. Pressurization is still good and set. We'll release the passengers. And again, we do that recool check. Make sure there's no faults that we've not spotted. And that's it. Checks are complete. Awesome. So, map, here we are. We're crossing over the Irish Sea. Make landfall just north of Wales. And we're initially heading eastbound, and then we'll make a left turn northbound towards Newcastle. Or Newcastle, I should say. My best Geordie accent. There it is, Newcastle upon Tyne. Which is, yeah, they have a few operators going to that airport. I have never been myself. Sid plays rain doesn't show on radar. It does. Rain will display on radar. It picks up water droplets. So rain very much will display on a weather radar. Orbital Poe, do you think aeronautical engineering in college would be a good help to become a pilot? Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But you don't need to have to do that. I mean, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university, so. Alan Davis, flight deck sim, is the deadband only something unique to jet aircraft at all? Well, I've only ever flown a 737, and a deadband is caused by when you rotate, some of the airflow that comes over the wing is disturbed over the horizontal stabilizer, so you lose a bit of lift, so you have to increase back pressure just as you come airborne there, just to make sure you have a continuous rotation. If it's on the Airbus, the Jumbo, other aircraft, I've no idea. I should think so. It's a similar shape, but I cannot say for certain. Lewis Priceley, hello flight deck from Swissport opposite Liverpool. Good evening to you. Kern Sunno, have you ever suffered an engine failure whilst flying the real world Boeing? Thankfully not, and may it be, may it stay that way as well. You can hear me touching my desk, as we say in England, touch wood, for a bit of luck. Jambo, evening. Whereabouts are you based? I will tell you no more than the fact that I'm based in the United Kingdom. Kim, good evening. Are you late? David Blackwood used you missed the sausages. There were donations of sausages going on earlier. He's probably thinking, what the hell are you on about? Danish Flyer. The first ever glider to fly was the ASK-13 by Schleiser. Well, I can't picture that glider. I wouldn't know. My gliding spotting knowledge isn't that great. Cool. I've not been paying attention, but we are on top of cloud now, -2, so yeah, we don't need the engine anti-ice on. I think X-Plane has the habit of, if you don't put engine or wing anti-ice on, you get this massive build-up of ice and then the aircraft falls out the sky, which, well, if you had serious icing it would do, but I mean serious icing, I think you'd have to fly for a hurricane or hold in a hurricane for about an hour to have anything like that. James Clark, how about an Airbus flight someday? Well, I'll probably end up crashing the thing, but it would be quite funny to see a 737 pilot with no Airbus experience try and fly one in the simulator. I'm sure there's some good Airbus sims out there, and as good as the mod. Rod Taylor, is this your regular route, or do you do long haul? I've never flown this sector at all. Never been to Newcastle, but I do fly short, medium haul, so flights between 45 minutes to 5 hours, really. Port Castellana Mestra, how long did it take you to finish your HPL and get a job? I was very lucky. I passed my rating in April, May 2011, and I had my job interview in August, so it was about 4 or 5 months or so, which at the time, this was 2011, I was very lucky, really, because there was very little movement in the industry. There was only a few airlines recruiting, and I managed to get in, which was quite fortunate. I actually had an interview at 3 interviews. I actually got offered in 2 different airlines. One flew the Airbus, one flew the Boeing, and I chose the Boeing because I wanted to fly that particular aircraft. So yeah, that's the choices I made. Tableau claims, well, a year ago I was flying to Innsbruck and didn't notice it was winter and cold. 20 minutes in, I see myself fly out of the sky in the ZIBO. Yeah, I think I've seen some videos online on X-Plane where people. Well, I've had it. I remember flying in the 200, the Fly JSIM 200, and when I was testing it, when I bought it before we did the first stream in it, I was just flying along and then it just stalled, and I was doing around Mach decimal 73, 260 knots again. It stalled. And I guessed it was icing of some sort, and I was like, okay, that's unusual, but I had no control of the aircraft whatsoever. But yeah, I think that just sometimes happens in X-Plane. Anyway, keeping that cell well clear, 20 miles, and we're downwind of it. We don't ever really want to be downwind of a cell. You can probably get some turbulence off it in reality. But yeah, that can stay right over there. Julian Williams, hello Flight Sim. Have you ever flown to Luton? I am a dispatcher for Swissport there. I have flown into and out of Luton, but not for a few years. Not for a few years. I probably, if you've got a few Swissport guys here, I've probably spoken to you at the time, because I've operated from pretty much all of the UK airports, or most of the major UK airports, and I pretty much talk to Swissport every day. You will never know. Oh, and look who's just walked in. Hello, buddy. It's Jack, my Labrador. If you're new to my stream, he is my best buddy. My partner and I, we do spoil him. He's like our kid. Cool. Z Muffin Man, Liverpool Dispatch. Yeah, I know you. I've spoken to you a few times. Commander Crow, have you flown into Sweden? I have. And Hendrik asking the same question as well. I have. Not for a very, very long time, though. Cool. So, here we are. Top climb. Inbound to Alava. And just north of Wales, I think. Looking at those points there. There we go. There's Bangor. And Anglesey. those of you unfamiliar with the UK, there's a place out here called Carnarvon, which is I flew into Carnarvon once in a Cessna. I did my PPL. I'm from around this part of the world here, and I did my PPL at a small airfield called Fenland, Echo Golf Charlie Lima, and I did my hour building, flew all over the UK, which is pretty cool. Want to be pilot? Have you ever flown to Jersey Channel Islands? Not in the 737. I've flown to Alderney in a Seneca during my instrument rating. I passed my IR, and I had a few more hours left, and with my instructor and my flying partner, the Oxford Aviation Academy were quite cool. You have an allowance, and I managed to get my instrument rating done with an extra lesson spare, so I had about 3 hours left. So they just say, oh, where do you want to go? So yeah, we flew to Alderney, we picked up some duty-free alcohol, and then we flew back. Peter Dishwell, man, I was about to go to bed, now I have to just stay up till the end. Yes, well, let's have a look. We've got the ETA here. Look, 3 minutes to midnight. We'll be touching down at midnight UK time. 57 there. What does the overlay say? 45. So I don't know why that differs, but probably has slightly different information in the flight plan. Class 2 LDN, or London, I guess. I had to use any night lighting add-ons, or is it default X-Plane? This is just default X-Plane 11. Just default X-Plane. I've got a few add-ons, but nothing too... nothing that changes too much, it would seem. I think with things like... one thing you'll notice with X-Plane is, if you've transitioned from FSX or Prepared, it's an incredibly stable sim. I only have ever had it crash once, and that was just before I started streaming, but you've seen, if you watch all my live streams, we've never had any issues. And I think that's because I haven't messed around too much, putting hundreds of plugins in and lots of changes to textures and stuff. I think it's inherently a stable sim anyway, but that's one of the beauties of it, apart from the fact it is by far the most accurate replicator of flight. It is a stable sim. Oh, we'll have to see what Microsoft Flight Simulator is like next year. I'm actually genuinely excited. In my base at the moment, I'm renting a room from a friend of mine who's also a captain I've known for years and stuff, and he knows about my channel. I told him about it. He said, oh, you heard about the Microsoft Flight Simulator? Yeah, so we're all really excited. I've flown with a few first officers as well. We've been chatting about it as well, so it's really going to be cool to see what they make. Got a new member coming in as well. We've got Lantern Mac. Thank you very much for the membership. Welcome to the channel. You'll be invited to the private Discord. We've got a great bunch of guys all sharing the same passion. You get a little bit more of an insight into what I do day to day. Thank you very much. Ferry DeFow, I could link you to some night lighting add-ons. Well, if you recommend it, yeah, you can drop me a link on Facebook and I'll take a look. Hendrik also, do British pilots get to taxi on the left side? My goodness. Marcel Marzek, what do you recommend for a 13-year-old aspiring pilot? Well, firstly, get yourself to bed if you've got school tomorrow, because that's what's most important. Study hard at school. I probably didn't work quite as hard as I should have, but I did what I had to do. And that's the most important thing at this stage. And if you're really serious, get involved into flying as soon as possible. Now, I was always big into my simming, but I didn't go through my entire teens just playing flight sim. You know, and that's the key thing here. I think you can get engrossed with this. Now, it looks like I sim all the time, which is cool. I've got the time now, but you can't just sim and rock up, you know. When I was 14, 15 years old, there was a local gliding club. I went for a kind of a trial lesson when I was about 15, I think, and they had a fantastic scheme where people my age, they did voluntary work, didn't get paid, and it was quite good fun. When you're 15 years old, you had to tow the gliders back in an old Land Rover, do some rigging and stuff like that, and in return at the end of the day you get a free gliding lesson. So I did that. Get a job as well. You know, one of the things a lot of airlines look for when they employ people is for people that actually do a bit of grafting. Now, if you are 21, 22 years old, which was my age when I started, and you've just turned up and you've got no work experience, that does not shine well. You know, when I went to my job interview and they asked me what job experience did I said, I sold chickens for 3 years, and I worked bloody hard doing it to earn as much money as possible. They love that, you know, as all prospective employers do. But they really, you know, they love that someone that's actually gone out, worked, you know, done some real life day-to-day work. And I remember working at Morrison's in the UK, and I'd think I'm never going to be a pilot doing this, but it's so important that you do that as soon as you can. So yeah, take those opportunities, work hard. I look back now and I obviously no regrets. You know, I've done everything, and there were times when I was in my flight training, I don't think I could do this. You always have those times, but it's accessible to people that want to do it and work hard. Oh, I've gone off on the sidetracked here, but yeah, I probably have inspired more people than need to. But yeah, that's what it's like. Kieran Hogan coming in with £1. Thank you very much for that, my friend. And Ferry Defer, I just got your message pop up on my phone. I'll have a look at that later. Thanks for that. Peter de Schwartz, how does the ZIBO follow the magenta line now? Is it better, or does it still take shortcuts? It's pretty good now. On certain SIDs it wasn't depicted completely correctly, but it seems to be working quite well. Oh Christ, Storm Gaming, $25 donation there. Well, that's very generous. Wow, no comment associated with that, just slipping in $25. Well, thank you very much for that. That is very generous indeed. And welcome. James Leck, hardest part of the multi-engine IR. Well, that, of all the flight training, is the most difficult part. Oh Christ, what was that? I remember in the Seneca 2, doing the single engine work, doing like go-arounds and stuff, that was pretty hard, but that was because it was so flipping heavy. Like the rudder is so heavy on the Seneca. My leg was shaking trying to hold the asymmetric yaw in that. But yeah, that was pretty tough. New member. Oh, we've got new member coming in. We've got Timmy coming in. Thank you very much for the membership there. Welcome to the channel, and you'll be invited automatically to the private Discord. My friend from China, quid. Yes, quid is a slang term in the UK for £1. Money, you could say wonga. Quid is £1 is £1. 10 quid, £10. Ah, Mitchett, speaking of which, Crowland Gliding Club had their regular open day the other weekend. Well, you might as well have a guess of where I did my initial gliding lessons, and I do still keep in contact with a few of the guys there as well. Right, this Storm Gaming now coming with a $50 donation. Jesus Christ. Wow, well, that's insane. Doing really good. Thanks. My goodness me. Well, that'll do, because I have quite a long drive each week to work. That'll get me half a tank of diesel. Well, thank you very much. That's crazy, insane, man. There's no need, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Wow. Commander Crow, have you ever done that cool approach in Ajaccio? I'm afraid I cannot even tell you where that is. I have absolutely no idea, so I can't say I have. Cool. Right, anyway, we've been chatting away. I've not even been monitoring the flight path of the aircraft, which is not a good idea in reality. You always want to be having a good look at all elements of that. There we go. What we're going to do then is start setting for the approach into Newcastle. So here's Liverpool. We are just going to be passing to the north and Echo Golf November Hotel. Is that Blackpool? I think we did a tutorial into Blackpool once, but there we just hit mainland UK, and here is Newcastle upon Tyne, which is our destination. Jordan Brooker, have you ever flown into Bournemouth? I have, in both a light aircraft and a long time ago in a 737 as well. Cool. Right, let's start setting up for the approach. So we won't go into too much detail. It will be the ILS, and I think we're definitely new to do the ILS because it's broken at 400 feet, so very low cloud base here in Newcastle. We're only going to get visual a few hundred feet above the ground here, which will be quite interesting. And just for fun, we're going to fly it manually, just because it's something a bit more interesting for you to see. You know, it wouldn't be as silly in reality to hand fly in those sort of conditions, but we will do today for fun in the stream, but in reality you would want to maximise the use of the automation. Right, so we'll pop up the charts, and the descent winds. So we've got charts here, we've got the descent page, 200, cool. That actually reminds me, guys, whilst I've got quite a few followers here, I got a message from quite a young guy who does a bit of streaming here and there, I got a message from his father, and he was a bit down and stuff, so he asked if I could watch some of his videos and stuff. What I'm going to do is send you a link, and you can watch some of his videos if you get some time. I'm just trying to find, where's my subscriptions? There we go. And give these guys videos, just give him a good like, give him a good comment and stuff, because he's a little bit down at the moment, and you know, he wants his he does little live streams in Explain 11 and stuff, and I think he would really appreciate if you just give him a thumb and a comment and stuff. So here he is, put the link there, have a look at his videos. He's a very young guy, he's still new to Explain 11, his landings are far better than mine and I was at his age, but give him a little follow and a thumbs up. I've got another donation coming in. Longcat is coming with £4.99. Any advice for someone going for a sim check for an airline job in the UK in a couple of weeks? Well, firstly, good luck. I'm sure you won't need it, and just make sure I'm sure they'll send you some guidance and some information. Study that very hard. Brush up on your kind of like your theoretical knowledge and ATPL knowledge as well, because that will probably be asked in those questions. But most importantly, when you're in your sim check, show teamwork. Don't just dominate the other guy. It's a teamwork. That's one of the big things that a lot of people don't realise is, in a multi-crew environment, it is so vitally important that you work together well. If the other guy's struggling, help him out. That is so key. Don't just be a solo performance. You want to show good CRM. That's what's most important there. Unbelievable. $100. Storm Gaming, flipping heck. I don't think I've ever had a donation as big as that. Insanity. Wow. What kind of aircraft you are flying? It's a 737, which is the real aircraft flying reality. Please don't donate and ask who I work for, because I still won't tell you. But that is insane. Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, I think Storm won the lottery. Unbelievably did so. Anthony Carter, giving him a subscription. Thank you very much. That's a very good of you to have done that. Wow, that's really distracted me. My goodness. I'd rather you put that towards your own flight training or something, Storm, but thank you nonetheless. Don't know what to say. Unbelievable. Crikey. Right, what's the QNH in Newcastle? Massively distracted here. 1021. And fixed rings in. Runway 07 we're going to be landing on today, which does have an ILS, and 10. And because it's IMC, we're going to configure at 5 miles today. Actually, I have no idea how long the runway is in Newcastle. I've never been. It is 2,400 metres, not too bad. So we'll do that performance very, very shortly. We'll put that information here. Now, the arrival, which we're probably going to be... Well, we're on the arrival already, and I haven't even briefed it, because we've been chatting away here. So we'll pop up, we'll get rid of all the... Dublin charts, and we've got Newcastle, which is Echo Golf November Tango, and we're actually going to select arrival here, poll arrivals, and we want approach ILS 07. Oh, they've got Cat 3. We're not going to do Cat 3. We're going to try and get it on a Cat 1 ILS with the minimum we have, which is quite low, so we would probably request an auto land in those conditions. Well, broken 400, you'd be fine getting off a Cat 1, but if it dropped to broken 300, we'd kind of wanting to be doing an auto land or a Cat 2 or Cat 3 approach. But we're gonna be ballsy. We're gonna go for the Cat 1, and we'll go back here, select airport, and here we go, runway 07. Right, so let's have a look at the arrival. So we're already on it. We're going to descend very shortly from Gurkov then. We're going to go to Irkor, Zodru, and then Estes. And most likely here, if you weren't cleared at Estes, you'd get then... well, if you hadn't been cleared, you'd enter the hold at Estes. If you have been cleared or prior to Estes, you'd most likely get vectors onto the approach here. So that's what we're going to do and set up in the FMC. We're going to kind of self-position or self-vector above the MSA here, because there's no ATC. So we'll go to the... plan page. You can see what's in the FMC. You've got the restrictions here, 220 knots or below, which slows us right down to Estes, and then pretty much Estes, let's just route direct to the centre fix, which is a nice little point for an intercept here. And you can already see ZIBO's done a lot of work to ensure that the FMC slows down correctly. So you can already see it's predicted 186 knots or below. It used to say 250, so I think he's really worked hard on working that there. There's a lot of banter going in with these crazy donations. David Swift, you deserve the donations. Really, I know it's very kind. I do put a lot of work in, but I enjoy it. And like I said, there's no need for people to donate if they don't want to. If they do, I always appreciate it. It puts a little bit into my lunch and drink fund at work. So yeah. Anyway, so that is all set now. Hope you're happy with the arrival. Then we're just going to cell position. That's what I put in the FMC as well. If I was expecting radar vectors. Now here we are for ILS 07 for Cat 2. No, we don't want the Cat 2, Cat 3 chart. Our charts will work slightly different to Jeppesen. There combined Cat 1, 2, and 3. I think with Jeppesen, they have individual charts for Cat 1. Yeah, they do, like NDB ILS. We'll just use the Cat 1 there. So 111.5 is the ILS frequency. I'll make that active. There we go. And inbound course is 066. We're coming quite quickly to top of descent. Now, usually on a short flight like this, the first officer would do all the paperwork during the climb, save a bit of time. But obviously there's no paperwork in the simming world. Minimums for the Cat 1 ILS and standard 200 feet AGL 463. Request descent, so what I'm going to do, we'll dial in. Let's go straight down to, what's the first restriction? Let's click 160 in. Yeah, so we'd request descent at this point. We'll let VNAV initiate the descent whilst I set the minimums, which is 463. And yes, if you are new to my streams, firstly, welcome. We do have a much requested landing rate calculator on touchdown. I've been so informed that any landing rate less than 300 feet per minute is acceptable. I couldn't tell you exactly what is good in real life. I've certainly done more than 300 feet per minute in reality, that is for sure. Cool, so minimums are set, 463, frequencies, courses, minimums, straightforward ILS. This is for the procedural approach here, which we're not going to fly. We're going to do vector, self-position, and on we go. Nice and straightforward. Landing performance then, landing on 07. There is a high-speed exit here at Charlie, which we'll attempt to meet. We'll obviously, independently, with the first officer, check all the performance, but today we're just going to select flap 30, order brake 3, burning about 300 kilos from now. Actually, 60 flipping. That is really heavy, actually. Maximum landing weight for the 737 is 65.3 tons, so we're very heavy. Our approach speed's quite fast for flap 30, but still within limits. You can land above the max landing weight in the 737, but only in a sort of a situation like a medical emergency, or you're instructed by the QRH to do so. DSC, have you done any Category C approaches in the left-hand seat yet? No, I haven't. We've got a donation coming in. Crikey, I think I missed some here as well. Firstly, Jake P, who donated £1.50. I think I missed you, so thank you very much. Hello, I'm starting my flight lesson soon. Your videos are a great inspiration to keep going. Thanks a lot. I think, did I mention? I can't remember, but firstly, thank you very much. And just now, £4.46 coming in from Silvermane 1982. Some coffee money if you're back at Schiphol again. Eham, very good. Yeah, we must stream into Schiphol. Right, I've not been paying attention to the mod. I was just talking about how it's worked on the decel. It has not really worked out that it needs to do 220 knots at Aircore. It's correctly updated the target speed, but it has not pitched up to do that. So I'm going to have to use speed brake to bring the speed up to 220 knots here. So that is something that requires a bit of a work. And I will make a note to message ZIBO about that after the stream. So it was working quite correctly, so I didn't actually see a decel point there. Well, it probably was, but now in reality it will have worked your VNAV profile where this wouldn't have changed, but it would have pitched up to make 220 at Aircore. We're going to bust that for sure. Right, we're going to now descend to 120. These are leaving us quite low. 4, 5, no, 4, 8, 12. We're a little bit high actually, but we'll keep monitoring the descent profile. Actually, what I'm going to do now is go level change 220. I'll just leave the speed brake out there. Getting very distracted, making notes because I want to tell ZIBO about this. I'll tell him in the morning. Matt XGS, do you know anything about the rules for colour blindness and being a pilot? I am red-green colour blind, but can pass a lantern test, which is distinguishing between red, green and white very easily. I'm afraid I don't know much about it. I know colour blindness is just one of those things which... I'm just going to pop the engine anti-ice on here because we're in a bit of cloud. I know it's one of those things which is really important that you're not colour blind. So if you want to become a pilot, may I recommend that you do the test for that as soon as possible, so you don't get yourself too worked up. And if you don't make it, you know, get yourself involved in aviation or a similar job nonetheless. But I don't have any much more information based on that. Cool. So approaching 120, getting a little bit high on profile, but it's not too much for us to worry about. We are still on VATSIM actually. I haven't even checked if there's anyone online, but seeing it's nearly 1:45, I doubt there's many people that would want to be up doing such a thing. Cool. One to go then, so I'll imagine we probably still talking to London or probably Newcastle radar now. I'll imagine we've got continuous descent. Why has it got vertical speed in? Did I select that? I thought I pushed level change. And we really need to pitch up now to do 220. 36, we're about on profile. We just need to bring that speed back to around 220 knots. So yeah, a little bit more tweaking with the mod required. Florida Nate V, I see what you did there. $7.37, thank you very much. What's the dumbest thing a passenger has ever said to you after the flight? Alternatively, what's the worst post-flight cliche by a passenger? About funny you mentioned that. About 3 years ago, funny enough, I had someone that who I was their first officer, did the walk around, and I came up, and it was someone here, a passenger, who said, "Oh, I think your nose wheel's a bit worn out." And I just done the walk around. There's nothing, absolutely fine. The nose wheel's fine. I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" I said, "Oh, there doesn't seem to be much tread on it." And I said, "Oh, there's plenty of tread there. Oh, I do play flight sim, and I'm quite knowledgeable about those sort of things." So I just thought, okay, now don't get me wrong, because most of you guys have a great sound knowledge of things as well, but when this guy confessed he had flight sim knowledge and he was saying that he saw this tyre which had more than enough tread on it, and we know exactly what it needs to look like, you know, I just thought, good one. And he said he was a health and safety inspector, so I just thought, oh, again, that's no good. We've got a new member coming in here. We've got XANN0 coming in with a membership. Thank you very much there. For the membership, and welcome to the channel. Right, anyway, it looks like we're a little bit high here, so we're at 220 knots, which is our descent target speed. Now, when we pass these 220 knots decel points, it should update the target speed to 220 here as well. It still has 284. If I execute this, see if it changes the profile. No, it doesn't. So what we're going to have to do is probably start using flaps soon to get back onto profile. I've still got the speed brake out. We'll do the post-cruise checks now, so fuel lights. It's hard to see in the sim, and I've got my light on in here. Yeah, we're not in cloud anymore, so we'll pop the engine anti-ice off. Pop the logo light on, pressurization set, seatbelts on, the recall. There we go, that's the post-cruise checks complete. You guys are going a little bit crazy with the tips today. Unbelievable generosity, thank you so much. Mark Sputnik coming in with a donation. Finally, I could join you for another live stream. Good that I have off tomorrow, so no problem. If you touch and go and divert, good greetings from Zurich. Well, thank you very much for the tip and donation there. No, well, let's have a look at the latest weather here. It is going to be close for Cat 1 ILS. It's showing broken at 400 feet, and I am going to hand fly once I've completed the landing checklist here. So we're going to get, we'll be visual 400 feet above the ground based on the forecast weather. Let's hope it's accurately replicated into the sim. Right, we're near now. What we're going to do, we're going to demonstrate this kind of high energy situation here. Now, I've really not been concentrating. I'll probably request an extended downwind vector here, but we're going to descend to 3,000 feet. The local QNH in Newcastle is 1021, which we can set now. A big pressure change compared to Dublin. So that's now set, passing 9,000, 3,000 feet. Standby altimeter is set. We'll have flap 1. We're going to go flap 5. And flap 5, 220 knots with speed brakes, kind of like a nice little configuration to get yourself back onto profile. You can see, look, there comes the VNAV bar, aircraft's pitching down, and this is the kind of first stage of dealing with the high energy here. You can then probably later go 180 knots flap 10 if you're still high, but that's working quite nicely. You can see the VNAV paths coming in. So if you find yourself high, flap 5, speed brake 220 knots. Gives you around. This is what I love about the mod. The figures we have when we teach this is flap 5 speed brake idle thrust gives you about 2,300 to 2,500 feet per minute. It's exactly what the mod is giving you. That is why this is such a good simulation. It's true to the real aircraft when doing this. Another incredibly generous donation coming in. Oh my goodness, Anthony Till, $25. Take your better half out to dinner. She has been so supportive. She's been incredibly patient. She's out this evening, so I have free reign. I can do what I want, but no, she's really good. And on these days off here, I promised that we wouldn't stream, but she got called into work today, so I was like, ooh, that's a shame. I could do a stream now. But yeah, she is great, really. 6 years together. That's another story. Anyway, Tom also coming with 50 Norwegian krona, always tipping and dating as well. Date night over. Where is the rewind button for the playback there? Excellent. Well, thank you very much for the tip and donation nonetheless. Oh my goodness me, all coming in. Silver Main, £4.46. Whoops, I used my Twitch name, Silver Main 1982. But here's another cup of coffee. Great ferry to foul. Well, thank you very much for the tip and donation now. I'm so distracted. Oh my goodness. Right, we're going to definitely bring the speed back to 180 knots now and flap 10 as we're getting high. Oh, you've not learned anything. You've just heard me talking about the crazy donations we're getting this evening. Unbelievable. Another one. Oh dear. Craig Bates, £5. Excellent surprise flying into my nearest airport. Thanks again for the excellent stream. Well, you're most welcome as you see me trying to deal with this high energy approach. We can now go flap 10 as we're below 210 knots, still keeping that speed break out. Oh, don't make me do a go around for being high. We'll get descent now to 2,000 feet from ATC radar. That's actually working quite nicely. Glide slope's coming in. 180 knots on base, so we're doing really well here. Florida, pretty much you could quit working for your mystery airline that you don't fly for. Yeah, well, I probably could quit. This would be a good alternative. Kim as well, €7.37. Did she already get the chocolate from last stream? She saw that and she did get the chocolate. Unbelievably. Thank you very much, guys. Unbelievable. Right, we can arm approach with glide slopes coming in. Match runway heading 066. The VNAV profile's showing us high because we've got 2,200 as a hard altitude. We can now definitely stow the speed brake. Match runway heading, missed approach altitude 2,500 feet, which I didn't even brief. My goodness, this is busy. Match the flat 5 speed. It's good that I can sort of roughly fly an aircraft whilst talking to you guys and donating. It sort of shows that I kind of know what I'm doing. Oh my goodness me. Right, approach is armed. We'll wait until 5 miles. And hope we're visual. I best have a look at the missed approach really, just in case we're not visual and have to go around, which I will do of course. We do want to represent reality. Nice and easy, climb straight ahead to the locator, which I've not tuned, and hold at 2,500 feet. So that's 352. We'll quickly whack that up here and select ADF as well. Right, I am actually going to concentrate now to look away from the comments and the crazy tips and donations this evening. Unbelievable generosity. Well, I appreciate it. Right, there we go. Out of this layer of cloud, I'm coming up to 5 miles, so gear down. Flap 15, match speed, do a landing checklist of flaps. Start switch is continuous. We don't need the engine anti-ice on, it's 14 degrees. Recall check, speed brake is now armed. Landing gear down 3 green, auto brake is set to 3. Flap 25 is a nice initial flap setting. Oh no, we're not going flap 40, we're going flap 30, there we go. So VREF plus 5, the wind is 5 knots. Down the runway. There we go. Complete the checklist. So flaps we have 30 required. Here we can confirm 30 selected for green light. Lights are on. Checks complete. Wish me luck, guys, because I'm now going to disconnect for a bit of fun, and we'll land hopefully visually at minimum. So disconnecting. Autopilot autothrottle's off. And I am still going to leave the flight directors on, just for a little bit of raw data, so I don't have to go completely raw data and guy blind into this situation. So this is what guys would be seeing right now, landing into Newcastle in the dreary English evening. It looks like the missed approach is nicely and correctly depicted on the ND, which we very much will be flying, possibly. Tanner Hoyt, it says it's pretty accurate on the ETA, that's looking good. I don't have any of these. I saw the stream by the Captain Canada guy, who's pretty humorous. He has this estimated landing rate thing, which I don't have. You'll see the landing rate calculator come up, but you can't guess it. You can guess it if you want, but it won't show afterwards. Right, coming up to 400 feet above the ground here. Still can see sweet FA. Oh, yes we can. We're visual. Nice. Right, let's hope we can butter it in. This scenery is from TDG, by the way. An excellent freeware scenery provider. Wipers, yes, you would have the wipers on. They don't seem to be accurately replicating the rain today. I'm not concentrating. 3 whites, no more than 1,000 feet per minute, really. Don't want to start blasting it down. Speed's good. Continue. A tad high. There's a tree there. Don't want to get that into number 2 engine. Keep it descending. Ooh, little bit balloon there.
50, 40, 30.
Ooh, check.
10.
Close. Oh, I want a butter, please. For my landing rate calculator. I think that was quite hard. Speed breaks up. Reverses.
Remaining.
Second detent reverse. Let me know in the chat what it was. 100 knots.
30.
Tom's closing his eyes. 80 knots. Manual braking. Oh, 60 knots. I probably wouldn't go for this exit in reality, but because we're in the mod, we'll take full left here. Whoa, definitely wouldn't have tried that in real life. The braking is so good now in the mod. Oh my goodness, here. I've got full right rudder. Why is it not turning? This is where tiller comes in quite useful. There we go, guys. Welcome to Newcastle. Oh, why is it not moving forward? There we go. Yeah, don't try and attempt to make an exit like I just have. It doesn't work in reality. There we go. Cool. Excellent. Right, so we can now clean up and stow the speed brake, order brake to off, flight directors off. We can put the speed down here, oops, to 100 knots. I was 195 feet per minute. Oh, I thought it was a little further than that. Even I know that's not pretty good. Another donation coming in. Stand by, because I just want to know where in the world I'm going, because I'm very unfamiliar with Newcastle. Taking a left here. Another donation coming in from Jacob McGregor, who's just donated £2. Thank you very much. Welcome to my home airport, he says. Well, thank you very much. I'm here in Newcastle. Tom has said closing my eyes, which I did see. That was pretty hilarious. Right, flaps up. Transponder 2 out off. Oh my goodness me. Cole. Coming in with his frequent donation of $25, unbelievably generous. This is from my K9 Ernie. He wanted to get you something for chat. Well, thank you very much, Carl. And I'll obviously please keep us posted in the Discord of your progress as well. Obviously, we're all thinking of you at this moment as well. So thank you very much, Cole. That was very, very generous. I remember seeing the picture of your dog as well. Oh my goodness me! Tonight, the generosity, really. I mean, you'll never see me ask for anything. You don't need to do it at all. But boy, oh boy, it's very, very, very kind. It does obviously, obviously very nice for me. My God, I really don't know what to say to those things. Right, flaps are up clean. MCP, we can tidy up. 3-1 there. Start switches. And probes off too. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Newcastle. Let's get ourselves onto stand. Gianluca Rigiri, I love you. Well, may I return the love to you as well. My goodness. Cool. Right, so what I will demonstrate for you this evening, as I have another voice crack, like a teenager. I did that the other day when I was doing a boarding PA to the passengers, and God knows what they for. We're going to demonstrate a single-engine taxi. So at the airline I work for, we shut down an engine to save fuel, which is completely normal. Actually, we wouldn't technically do it today because we're very heavy. We're actually too heavy. We're 64 tons, so we wouldn't actually shut an engine down on the taxi in, because if you get stuck on a slope, there isn't enough oomph to get the aircraft moving. As this clicker thing's going off all flipping evening. Noah Featherstone, who's always donating $1.99. Good job, glad you got it down safe, lol. And Tom say go Magpies. Absolutely. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Newcastle football team called the Magpies there. So yeah, as I was saying, single engine taxi is done in reality to save fuel. We wait 3 minutes, that's the amount of time we allow for the engines to cool down from the flight, let all the internal temperatures get to a sensible temperature, and what we generally do is shut down engine number 2. So we do that like this. You wouldn't in reality do that at this weight because you're too heavy, and when in real life when you're taxiing around with one engine like this, you just need to keep the aircraft moving in inertia. Now if you stop and you're on an upslope, it is impossible to get the aircraft moving single engine, and you'd end up having to restart the engine, which is obviously time consuming, a bit embarrassing, and it's something you don't want to have to do. So you always do that. Loads of airlines do this. Actually, I've been jump seating or sometimes commuting to work with on a Dash 8, and they always seem to start one engine, taxi to the runway with one engine. They start it just before takeoff, which is quite cool. And then the same on the shutdown. As soon as they've landed, they shut one of the engines down immediately. But on a jet engine, a lot of operators do shut an engine down like that. Cool, so obviously we're getting quite slow now, so we want to keep the aircraft moving. And you still want to not set more than 40%. And we'll start the APU now. You'll get a few master cautions pop up as well when you shut the engine down. You won't get fuel. I don't know why there's a fuel master caution. That's incorrect. But you'll get the source off and the drive light, so you'll get ELEC associated with that engine shutdown, which is completely normal. Newcastle again, I'm completely unfamiliar, so I've no idea what we're going. We'll just taxi on to any freestand. I've already pictured one here. We've got a British Airways 320 and a Ryanair 737 here. Okay, that's just because of the noise of the Dash 8. I didn't see your other question, but yeah, the Dash 8 is a flipping rattly old thing, isn't it? First time flying on one was only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm now using it frequently to commute. Doesn't half rattle. It's tiny as well. How in the world do I get onto this stand? There we go. So we'll turn right. Why do we shut down engine number 2? So I did that at the start of the stream, but the reason we shut down engine number 2 is because you'll have all the ground staff waiting on the right-hand side to unload the bag, so it's a little bit safer to shut that engine down. Right, we have some guidance there. I think that's the taxi online. APU should be available very shortly. There it is on the bus. Cool, and there we have the guidance alive as well. This TDG guy makes a scenery. They're just awesome. He always puts all these little gate guides on them. Oh my goodness, there's a little bit of asymmetric thrust here. It's a little bit more pronounced in the sim than in reality. There we go. It's alive. Looking for it to say stop. Ooh, oh no, I've stopped just short. I've done that as well as a captain now. Then you have to add a lot of thrust to just get back onto the stop point. There we go, stop. There we are. Right, parking brakes set. 2 blues, 1 red. Engines are dead. Release the passengers now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Newcastle. Local time, it is precisely midnight. There we go. Look at that for timing. Another on-time flight deck to sim airline's arrival. My goodness, that was a very fun stream, and I'm still a bit flabbergasted with the donations this evening. I really, I don't know what to say for that. Really incredible. Right, so what we're going to do, there was absolutely no one on VATSIM tonight at all, so much for logging into that, and I will take ourselves out of there. Disconnect. Now I remember before we replay we turn off the overlay as well. I end flight on project flight, so let me just do that here, otherwise you get all the things here. Complete flight. This project flight seems really cool here, so you can track your flights and your rates of descent. So I've turned that off, and I'm also now going to turn off on Streamlabs the overlay. There we go. Awesome, guys. So you know what time it is. It is time for the replay. So we'll go here, click replay. Oh yeah, someone said turn all the lights on prior to the replay so they illuminate correctly. I do remember that. Oh, I forgot I left the strobes on as well. Never mind. Cool. And it never looks that great at night, but we'll do it anyway, just for tradition's sake. And there is the ending music. Paul, yes, as I have done, Brandon. Yeah, I can't remember who was. Someone messaged me to tell all the lights on, so you get them correctly illuminated for the landing. Cool. So there we were, coming out the clouds. I think that's close to landing, yeah, 900 feet. So we'll stay in this view initially, and then we'll go to the threshold as soon as we come out of the cloud. So actually I'll do that now so we can see us coming looking out at the cloud. Well, you already can, never mind. Oh, it's so dark, you probably won't be able to see anything, but we'll have a look nonetheless. Dougal, really appreciate your work in the streams, Captain. Well, thank you very much. It's really enjoyable to you know, share some of the content, and you know, share some of the expertise I have gained. I'm still learning myself as well. So yeah, it's just returning to my simming roots, and I will continue to do this for some time as well. Widow 5, you missed the stream. I'll leave this available in the morning. We'll let the stream finish rendering, so I'll post it tomorrow. There we go, over the threshold. It's pitch black, you can't really see anything, but it wasn't actually that bad. I thought it was a lot worse. It felt a lot harder there. Someone said it was pretty good on the landing rate calculator there. See if we got a view from the tower as well. It's absolutely dross out there. That's what the tower will be seeing in Newcastle this evening, staring out of their eyes, making sure that Flight Deck Sim Airlines is doing a smooth landing. I do enjoy the night flights though anyway. Cool, there we go. Right, anyway, what I'll do, I'll pop you back into the cloud so you can see what the passengers would have seen had they been landing this evening, which is the way we always like to end our live streams. Guys, thank you very much for the generosity this evening. It was on an unbelievable scale. I don't think I've ever seen such generosity as that, and it's nice to get a bit of stuff, you know, represent, you know, guys like the content there, giving something a little bit back for all the work I put in. So, you know, no need if you're doing such things, joining my streams, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you for everyone that signed up as members as well. I'll catch up with you later on this week, and you'll see a bit more of an insight with what I do every single day. When am I going to stream again next? So I've got 2 more days off. I'm going back to my base on Tuesday evening. I've got 5 days of flying. I'll see what I can do on my next set of days off, but my partner's off as well, so we'll probably spend some time together. But I might do the odd impromptu stream like this. Thank you very much again. I wish you all a pleasant morning, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for the thumbs up on the video, and give my best regards to all your friends as well. Have a great evening, and I'll see you on another live stream in the near future. Good evening.